Now I request our treasurer, Vijay, to introduce the next speaker, Vincent Lin of Grow-Best Seafoods. Vijay?
Yeah, are you audible, sir?
Yeah, very much. Go ahead.
Fine, thank you. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Vincent Lane, the president of Global Seafood Corporation. It's a multinational which is operating from Taiwan and has base in China, Thailand, Philippines, and USA. He's a critical thinker and is a numerical analyst by nature because he's a mathematician and is a postgraduate in business administration. He has a very big illustrious career in the food industry and then back to the seafood industry. And so he's naturally a good business administrator and strategist. He is now about to speak on our one of the biggest buyers and also world's biggest consumer of shrimp, China. The topic is pandemic impacted China shrimp market. I welcome Mr. Vincent Lin and take to the stage.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, good evening, everybody. Okay, I'm Vincent Lin from Global Seafood Company in Taiwan. And now I'm going to share our assessment of China shrimp market under pandemic. First, let me share my screen. COVID-19 has inflicted cataclysmic impact on global economy and international trading. Seafood industry everywhere struggle to confront chaos in supply chain and transformation of consumer behavior. Salmon and shrimp, the two most international trading seafood species, unsurprisingly, become the two most suffered categories during the pandemic. Against this backdrop, China's shrimp market has endured various calamities one after another. And in this calamity, I conclude that although the pandemic has disrupted its operation, China's shrimp market still is destined to be the most lucrative in the world with its unique feature, no matter how long COVID-19 pandemic will be haunting human beings. First, now let us review China's shrimp import market as a whole. In 2019, China imported about 700,000 tons of frozen shrimp, value 2.2 or 4.26 billion US dollar. That's the information. That's the information from CAPMA, China Aquatic Product Processing and Marketing Association. Annually, China consumes around 2.2 million tons of shrimp. And we can see from this figure, in terms of quantity, in the first half of 2020, the import quantity still grows, but the price is keep sliding down since December 2019. The quantity only start decrease since July. In July, the import quantity decreased 6.5% than the same month in 2020. But it has a very sharp decrease compared June 2020. It is a 22.2% decline. And if we look at the import value, the decline is even more than the decline of the quantity. The value, the import value in July 2020 is 13.9% less than 2019. And in July, it is a 24.6% loss than in June. And where does the import shrimp come from? From this figure, we can see that Ecuador, India, Thailand, Vietnam, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Canada are the major origins. And one thing worth pointing out is Ecuador and India in 2019 has growth more than 300%. Besides the top 4 countries, Saudi Arabia in 2019 emerged as also a major import source country. In that year, China imported 29,000 tons from Saudi Arabia. And the one last country in the major source is Canada. Canada is the main import origin of northern prawn. The quantity is quite stable from 2017 to 2019, but the value has a decline, 14.3% decline in 2019. China shrimp import has the fastest growth in the world. Once China was a major shrimp export nation, but in last decade, incessant disease outbreak has stifled domestic production. In recent years, China needs to import shrimp to meet consumers' demand. Official data showed multiple growth of frozen shrimp import in 2019, from less than 200,000 tons previous year to more than 700,000 tons in 2019. And the reason behind the import surge in 2019 is the government's crackdown on smuggling and lowering tariffs. These two actions drove very much previous concealed import turned to legal passage. You can see the picture on the right-hand side. It is one of the so-called border trading ports around China-Vietnam border. In the past, very much of China import shrimp was transported through this kind of trading port, but since 2019, this transport channel has been almost shut down. And that's the reason behind the import surge in 2019. But since change after COVID-19 hardest hit in the first quarter of 2020, although pandemic was gradually got control since March, and most economic activity has gradually resumed, but many people anticipated compensating spending is yet to take place in food service industry. And COVID-19 with the consumers tend to be more rational. Dining out, dining together is no more commonly seen in daily life. And at home, self-prepared meal clearly increase. Inexpensive seafood like white shrimp are the foods favored by general Chinese. But increased consumption at home is far less than be able to compensate decrease in food service sector, because Food service sector constitute more than 2/3 of all the shrimp consumption in China. And so the consumption contraction transmit from end user side all the way through entire supply chain. Everybody feel the pain. Now, let's exchange the condition of shrimp import from each of the top 3 countries under the pandemic. First is Ecuador. Ecuador is China's #1 shrimp import source. Despite pandemic impact, in the first half of 2020, we still saw China import a huge amount of Ecuador shrimp, which you can see on the right-hand side figure. But in July, virus trace was found on packaging belonging to 3 major Ecuador shrimp producers. The incident caused a sharp decline of import from Ecuador. Ecuador import has gradually recovered since August because China government released those banned 3 major Ecuador shrimp, but end users consumption won't resume prior level. And the second country is Vietnam. Because of the pandemic, in 2020 Q1, Vietnam export to China 20% less shrimp than in 2019. And in the second quarter, we saw the figure resume. It is 13.5% more than the same period in 2019. Totally, the first 6 months of 2020, Vietnam export $227 million shrimp to China, just 2.9% less compared to 2019. Vietnam export mainly black tiger shrimp to China. Black tiger constitute 32.7% of the shrimp export to China in 2020 H1, while white shrimp is 39.1%, and marine shrimp comprise the rest. But in these 3 categories, only marine shrimp figure show a 137% growth compared to 2019, while the other 2 categories all decline. And the last one of the major top 3 is India. In 2019, we saw India become #2 shrimp import source country for China, amount to more than 150,000 tons. But tension between China and India escalated since skirmish took place at Himalaya border. And in July, China Customs responded with stringent inspection on India shrimp. More shipments from India were delayed, rejected, or even demolished at customer. Like my company, we diligently, very carefully, we are only able to arrange a couple of containers from India to meet our demand from our customer in China. But however, India shrimp still firmly hold a niche in China market. That is raw material for local shrimp processing plant, such as headless shell for pure shrimp. And here I have a remark. I think each country's shrimp has its own position in China market, which is not seen elsewhere in the world. Each country's shrimp compete in China market against not other country, but its own competitors. I will explain why later. Now let's look at the domestic produced shrimp in China. Domestic produced shrimp actually has endured more drastic impact from the pandemic than imported. Let me explain the situation in a time sequential fashion. In the early pandemic stage, farmer was hesitant and ponds are drained, but the stocking is suspended, so the produce decline. The price rising in Q1 made expectant farmers prolong sale out of last crop. This and the pandemic delayed the stocking of the first crop of 2020 to early April or even in May. Overall, stocking quantity in 2020 is less than 2019. Up to now, roughly 40% of shrimp plant in Guangdong province. Guangdong province is the biggest shrimp producing province in China. 40% of shrimp plant in Guangdong are still drained and empty, while 20 to 30% in other South China province are empty too. South China is in China in shrimp production is like Andhra Pradesh in India. Farmers are too scared of losing money to dare stocking shrimp in such an uncertain situation. Besides, persistent weak price in June and July has even driven some farmers quit shrimp farming. So everybody expects the local domestic shrimp will be less in the second half of 2020. During the outbreak high period, that is from March to May, shrimp procurement was hindered and the price dropped. In Q1, buying and transporting shrimp around countryside almost hold up, and winter crop could not be harvested. In addition, market turned sluggish because of lockdown. All made farm gate price flattened in June through April. Low price and prolonged crop cycle inflict severe loss on farmers. The loss in the H1 and the uncertain outlook were discouraging farmers. And in late outbreak high period, pandemic is got control and consumption is climbed up. There was a surely price hit in April and May. White shrimp price in some region slowly rose. Farm gate price in South China soared to 70 to 76 renminbi per kilogram. It is about 10 to 12 US dollar. Even 120 piece was above 40 renminbi per kilogram. It is equal to 6 US dollar, all significantly higher than last year. Into the third quarter of 2020, pandemic seems subsided. but it became disease, shrimp disease, plagued the industry. In addition, abnormal weather ravaged Central and South China. Most of farmers suffered it again. In May through June, white shrimp harvest faltered because of disease and the weather. Worse still, DIV1 reappeared. In some area, 60% of shrimp plant got infected. DIV1 has been around in China since 2014, but this year's outbreak, maybe because of the weather, was far more serious. Farmers' panic harvest triggered price plunge in June. Many farmers suffered huge loss in this round. So in Q1 and Q2, import quantity surged, but virus trace was detected, so price plunged. And in the first quarter, why the import quantity surged in the first quarter? It is because in the first quarter, many 2019 contract Ecuador shrimp shipment was blocked at China custom. The shrimp cleared custom in the second quarter and flooded market. And later, virus trace was detected on salmon in Beijing and Ecuador shrimp packaging in Qingdao. So the farm gate price in South China collapsed. And in July, shrimp price everywhere crawled at multi-low point. Even 30p could hardly reach 40 RMB per kilo. And for 60p, it was 22 RMB per kilo, which was previously the price of 100 to 120p. Into the third quarter, demand for domestic shrimp swelled, price rose. But virus trace was found on Ecuador shrimp packaging in several cities. Nationwide inspection exposed more similar cases. Import shrimp was all but removed from shelf everywhere. Demand for domestic shrimp rose. By August, domestic shrimp price surged, especially in Guangdong. Farmers were optimistic about price and put off harvest. Now, before I sum up the impact of COVID-19 on China's shrimp market, I have one reminder. Based on China's National Bureau of Statistics data, we estimate live fresh shrimp in China has a market size no less than 500,000 tons. Why? From the picture of the right-hand side, you can see it is a very typical supermarket, retailer supermarket, seafood section. The shrimp was sold in live fresh. And domestic farm shrimp, although it is losing ground to import because of decreasing supply and the rising price, but it will still at least hold on to fresh leaf market, and this market has still a huge size, and the price is very good, better than frozen and chill. So this is a lucrative and substantial section. But I think in the future, some superior grade chill or frozen head-on shell import shrimp may be able to venture into this sector. Now, to summarize the impact of the pandemic until now, here are my conclusions. First, pandemic wreaked havoc on the supply chain of both import and domestic shrimp. Demand and supply are no more in equilibrium. Price fluctuates, as I have just explained, very violently. Still, great uncertainty ahead. And strict virus inspection at customs entail high risk of reject that with new trade barrier and escalated political tension, all are deterring shrimp import. In addition, seafood-related virus incidents took place one after another, severely damaged consumers' faith. Shrimp market was badly harmed. But despite the pandemic impact, I think it also has accelerated some consumer behavior change and the market transformation. Those changes are, first, dining out will reappear but shaking, and the shrimp buying will shift to web, convenience store, and grocery supermarket. Below are two types of new retailer channel. On the left side is a kind of pick and delivery. The supermarket tend to be a delivery. Consumer can pick the grocery he needs on the web, and the delivery man will deliver the grocery to the buyers, to the consumer's home. On the right side is another kind of new type of retailer channel, offline to online shop. Consumer and on the way he got back from the office to his home, he can pick up the grocery in the supermarket at his neighborhood. And this is getting more and more trendy. And the third change is the health and fitness appeal will keep winning patronage, but the loyalty to brick and mortar will keep dwindling. On the regular side, food safety and traceability is getting more attention and better managed. Gray area around the supply chain is being eliminated. Rule and the law will be enforced even more effectively in the future. At the moment, demand is turning to domestic shrimp, but in the long run, value-price ratio decide to where the demand is related. Import shrimp has competitive advantage in this regard. And still, food service is seafood's main sales channel. 2001 saw a dismayed food service market. In the second half, we expect it will improve as domestic tourism is resuming. And business model is transforming. O2O, online to offline or offline to online, will be trendy. And web group buying or community groceries supermarket is emerging. And small retail pack, customized foolproof food service product are emerging category. And convenient, ready-to-serve seafood product will be more popular. And I like to explain the best-selling product types in China. This is the information of 2019. The most popular ranking type is raw, head-on, share-on. And the major supply country besides China is Ecuador, Thailand, Saudi Arabia. And the second is Maradon, raw, head-on, share-on. And in this list, India shrimp only prevail in raw peel. In appeal only in raw peel, but actually India is the type China import from India is raw headless shell-on, and it was China's processing plant who peeled the head of shell to become peel. And it is until now that India shrimp take the only one category prevail in China import market. And I think India has a very great opportunity to penetrate into other categories. Finally, I will explain how I say in the beginning the China market is destined to be the most lucrative market in the world. Here is the very unique type shrimp product in China. You only see this product in China and in Taiwan and in Hong Kong. It is shrimp paste. This type of product is very easy to differentiate the quality. If you can have good quality raw material to make this product, then the consumer will recognize the value. The buyer would be willing to pay high price. And this is a very unique attribute of China market. They appreciate the good taste. They appreciate good quality. If you can meet their demand, they are buyer willing to pay higher price. Okay, thank you. That's all I can share with you.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent.
Thank you.
It was a wonderful presentation, quite enlightening. We got to learn so much about the market of China, you know, and you have a huge product portfolio. I mean, the requirement-wise, but we are only able to cater to, you know, one product. I mean, that is headless shell-on, block frozen, you know. But
yes,
you know, there is room for India to reach out the other categories, you know. And one good thing, what I got to understand from your presentation is your domestic production is not all that good, and you are, you know, the sentiment is low, you know, business sentiment among the farmers. Apart from that, the Decapod iridescent virus is also playing havoc. So you will not have good quantities of shrimp, you know, for the last quarter of the year. If you look at the shrimp consumption in China, it starts from October. The consumption is very high in October, November, December, and January, up till February, up till Chinese New Year. So we stand a good chance. I mean, as your production is not all that good, and we stand a chance, and that's kind of good news to us. And moving forward, we need to work on other products, what we require, other categories. That gives us a chance to, further penetrate into Chinese market. But all in all, a wonderful presentation, Vincent. I thoroughly enjoyed. Hope
Thank you.
all the participants have enjoyed. I mean, we could hear it from the horse's mouth, Generally, we don't get first-hand information from China. I mean, what we get is second-hand information about China. So we got to learn a lot. Thanks a lot, Vincent. And